Gotta get this light. There we go. All right, we're recording, by the way. Just letting you know. So yeah, man. This possum is for Cutelaba, which is the opening fight of this fight card we're watching. It's pretty much going to be the topic of our next video as well when we drop it. It's basically going to be, possuming in the in the MMA world when you pretend to be hurt in a fight, which is exactly what happened when Cutelaba fought this. What's the name of this dude? I can never pronounce his last name. I know he's Mohammed, but is it Ankalaev? Whatever.
Ankalaev sounds right.
Ankalaev. Well, anyway, Mohammed and Cutelaba fought a little while ago. It was the last fight they both had, and left such a poor taste in our mouth because, man, they basically Cutelaba thought it would be funny to pretend he's hurt, or maybe it was just part of his strategy. That's why you got possum here, and it's just one of those things where the referee thought he was concussed because he was moving weird, and maybe it was a combination of him actually being rocked and trying to possum at the same time. I don't know, man. And then the referee stops the fight, and when he stops it, the guy turns at him like, "Why'd you stop that?" And then the referee's like, "Because you looked."
Yeah, no, it's if you go on Google and look it up and everything, articles start coming up. Apparently, at some point, he did come out and admit that he was playing possum. But yeah, it totally backfired. It is it's an interesting strategy. It's not something I think a lot of fighters really try, but you can see how some guys might experiment with it. We have that famous viral video. That's like a really old fight from back in the day. The guy kind of like holds his ribs, and like you remember that video?
Which one?
I have it here pulled up. I'm trying to get the names of the fighters. It's a really old fight, dude. I'm talking about like old school UFC, just right after. Probably like when they had like their Fox deal type of shit. But yeah, like the guy's like holding onto his ribs. He might have actually been hurt. He might not have even been playing possum, but he's like pulling back, holding his ribs, and the other guy's just like coming at him. And the guy holding it just throws one crazy Hail Mary and knocks out and wins the fight.
Oh yeah, no. Okay, so that's what my episode's going to be about.
Okay.
That's sells. Something sells, and it's old school UFC. He gets hit in the ribs. I thought he was holding him in the ribs. He gets punched in the ribs. He winces.
Yeah.
And so stay tuned for that. Actually, this is off the hip here. We're not even planning this episode because you just literally named the two side-by-side fights that I'm going to be mentioning in the next video. So stay tuned, guys. But yeah, so there's a difference between the two scenarios, and I think we can both agree. Because obviously one of them you're possuming on being concussed, and the other one you're possuming on like body shot that rocked you. Maybe the wind got knocked out of you. The referee's not going to stop that. He's going to be less willing to stop that quickly than the other way around. So I kind of feel like, but to me it was like the most comedic moment. One of the most comedic moments of this year was that one. It was Cutelaba like doing this. Referee stops the fight, and then he's like, "Dude, I'm okay." Like, it's like, dude, this is my game plan. This is part of my game plan. Why are you taking me off? Well, I'm not leaving. This fight's not over. Referee's like, "Dude, you can't do that," and that's a really interesting thing. Like, because the referee's job is to protect you. So you got to make sure you don't give him a reason to stop the fight. I found that really interesting. And how interesting is it that we're getting a rematch, right? The fans were so, I don't know what goes into the UFC deciding into a rematch, but we're getting, a lot of people want the Sean O'Malley rematch as well with Chito Vera. I wonder if we get that as well because it left such a poor taste in our mouth. It's like poor taste city 2020. You got to.
Well, it's human nature. It's human nature. Humans want conclusiveness. They want answers, right?
Right.
And when you have fights like this where we don't really know who was the better fighter because either the winner didn't really win, quote unquote, or something stupid happened like a doctor stoppage that maybe wasn't that big of a deal, like we saw with Nate Diaz and Masvidal.
But that was more conclusive. We got an answer there. I mean,
in a way, it was definitely obvious damage. That's maybe not the best sample, but essentially, like people just want, oh yeah, this guy knocked this guy out. He's the better fighter. This guy got submitted, whatever, blah blah. And with this Cutelaba fight, it just was Ankalaev really the better fighter? We can't really know. So that's why I think people want rematches. And same thing with the Sugar Show where was the leg injury self-induced? Did Cheeto really do that? What are all that stuff? We just want a clear decision, and it helps, and it's only better for the promoters. Like it's just another easy way to bank on the same matchup.
And it is, and it's a good buck because now you're pretty much getting double for the same matchup. Yeah, it's great. It's a great way to make money. But I think we got I think there could be argument made to the Cheeto fight, which is actually developing as the fight happened not too long ago. New developments are occurring where people are saying that it was on purpose and it was done to perfection. The leg kick thing that was controversial. But yeah, I mean, and those things are gonna happen, right? You're gonna have people say it was on purpose, and people this and people that. But at the end of the day, we do want answers, and I feel like this is a good rematch to have. I feel like out of all the times that people want answers, this is a good one. I feel like this is a great one, a great rematch, I should say. But yeah, so Kudalaba will be fighting. I always forget the name. I'm gonna say his name wrong every single time.
Live.
Man, it's like what happened to the old school days of the UFC where it was like Alex Smith versus Greg Jones. Those are the good old days. Easy to say for us, but yeah, I'm really excited about this. Really aggressive guy, Kutalaba. The way he came out in that fight, literally came out. Not when the right fight started, where the referee says, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" I'm talking about like when Bruce Buffer was introducing Kutalaba, he walks across the cage and gets face to face with this dude. Muhammad grabs him from the back, double underhooks him, and then starts this thing where then Bruce Buffer was like, Kutelaba. Oh shit. Like they might fight right now. It was such an interesting thing to see. It's like, dude, your job's fighting. You're about to fight. This is what you're here for. Wait till they say start. That's all you gotta do.
And I'm interested to see how it's gonna affect the emotional factor of this fight with Kutalaba coming in, knowing what happened last time, having to really show the fans that, hey, look, guys, like I can really beat him if I wanted to. It was all fluke last time. Like, is that gonna affect the mental aspect of it? Is it gonna affect his game plan? Is he gonna go in there so emotional that he might not be the smartest fighter? So it'll be interesting to see too, and yeah, I mean, I just really hope that wasn't the case with the last fight. I think any coach who's relying on a possum type of strategy, it's just bad coaching. That shouldn't be something that you should even think about when strategizing for a fight. So we'll see how he's going to go in there. I think he's going to start off really aggressive early on to again prove a point, and it might potentially backfire.
All right. I would love it if he does it again. I would love nothing more than him to just get jabbed slightly and then he does it again. And when he does it, he looks at the referee and goes, "No, stop it. This is my game plan." Or before he goes, "You know the rules to the fights?" He's like, "Yeah, and you know what I'm playing. You know my plan, right?"
It'd be really dumb. It'll be really dumb. He'll lose that battle every time because both Dana White and commissions, they don't play that shit. I mean, in the environment of MMA that we have today with just sports safety in general, things like concussions, like all that stuff, they're not going to take any chances. You show the slightest sign of you're in danger, or you're getting brutally hurt, they're going to stop the fight, and you're going to lose any petition you make, any whatever that thing is called, a claim to revisit the fight. You're going to lose it. So it just should not be a strategy in MMA at all. You should not be relying on that. If you want to be slick, like I think the only time a possum would work in MMA would probably be the ground game, where you can potentially expose certain situations in jiu-jitsu to make the opponent strive for something, and then you have a counter. And that's just like a whole other level of BJJ. I can see that being really effective, but pertaining to be rocked or hurt, you're going to lose that battle every time in the environment we're dealing with right now with sports.
That makes a lot of sense, actually, because in jiu-jitsu, I've seen, I mean, the higher levels do that, right? Not that I would know how to, but I've seen higher levels do that where they leave an opening that's a false sense of security, and then they're using it to bait you into something else. The good old flip and switch, and definitely something worth doing. But again, not being hurt where a referee's discrepancy is now on the table, which you have no control over. So again, I would love it if he does it again just for the showmanship, kind of like the way that we would love it if a fighter, showboats a little bit. We kind of like that sometimes. Some of us will be like, "Oh, what a prick! What a!" It's like, yeah, you like
it's also it's also such a shitty way to win too. I mean, you're a martial artist. Like, why can't you just be like, I want to go in there, be a better fighter, and beat this guy, rather than like, okay, I'm gonna like pretend like I'm hurt, make the guy feel cocky, and then I'm gonna knock him out. Like, are you a martial artist? Are you a fighter, or are you like, I don't know. Like,
fighting's all mental. Fighting's all mental, man.
Fighter is all mental, but that's not a mental thing. That's just sleazy. Like, you just, either be the better fighter, or even if you're not the better fighter, bring, again, like you said, mental. Bring it out of you. Find something inside you to make you, overcome everything, and then beat the guy. Sure, that's great. But the whole, again, just fact that you go into a fight with a game plan of like I'm gonna pretend to be hurt, like that. How is that even a game plan? Just
I agree. At the same time, there's a part of me that's like, I kind of want to see it. Like, I kind of want to.
Oh yeah.
There's a part of me that's like, yo, bring it on. I don't care.
we
So
we we
there's
bring
two.
this up so many times in terms of opinion. Like I'm always gonna have two sides to everything. You know, I'm like bipolar in MMA
Yeah, me
because
too.
I'm the the analysis side and the fan side. Yeah, I want to see some crazy shit as a fan, and let's go for it. Fuck it. But that's a whole different discussion.
So that's one matchup that's interesting because it's a rematch, and I think it's really a rematch for the fans. It's like, because technically speaking, that fight was stopped. Like, if you were looking at an objective MMA world, it's like, you got your ass. You technically, the referee stopped you. You're good to go. Next matchup, please. But the fans were like, "What the fuck?" And then now we have a rematch. So I like that. Another interesting matchup this weekend. And bro, I'm just loving these cards, aren't you? I'm just loving these cards. Anyway, Neil Magny, Robbie Lawler. I mean, wow, that one spawned when they announced this one way back. I was like, whoa, they just spawned this one out of what? This is so much fun. I feel like Neil Magny is dangerous enough, and I feel like Robbie Lawler is old enough. For a long time, Robbie Lawler was a very powerful champion in the UFC and out of American Top Team, right?
Yeah, he trains out of Coconut Creek.
Dude, like you said, they're in the boom. They're in the boom zone. They're out there and they're producing. Top 5 contenders. They're doing their thing. And Robbie Lawler went from a guy who was just a veteran of the sport, and by just I mean like, a guy that you've seen forever, never really in the top rankings, and all of a sudden he takes the welterweight by storm overnight. With his amazing Absolute Warrior fight with Hendricks. Then he goes on to have this amazing fight with, oh shoot, come on, the guy that left, the prospect, the Canadian prospect, what's his name?
Oh,
Rory McDonald.
Yeah.
He actually has this 5-round war. I mean, one of the bloodiest fights in MMA, and then honestly, the most like, here's your poster for facial reconstruction. By the way, your auditions for The Walking Dead are that way. I mean, that fight was brutal. McDonald looked. I mean,
wasn't it fight of the year or like top
something
contender?
like that? Yeah, and it was. I think it was the same night as Conor McGregor was the main event. So that event was lit. I'm an emotional memory guy. Like if the card is fired, McGregor was the main event, and the co-main already gave you the chills.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Adesanya night, right? Adesanya and Gastelum, when they fought, we still had Holloway Poirier at the main event after the Gastelum Adesanya epic fight. Perhaps one of the best fights that year, guaranteed one of my favorite fights of all time. So again, I'm a very memorable guy, and I think Robbie Lawler clashing with Neil Magny I think it's a lot of fun, man. I don't know about you, but I want to see what Robbie Lawler does. It's kind of like the Frankie Edgar thing all over again. I swear I'm not going to bring him up again. But
it's all good. I mean, to break down this fight, it's a really important fight for both fighters, but for really different ways. For Robbie Lawler, yeah, there was a time where you thought maybe this guy was probably going to be one of the greatest fighters of all time, not only as a welterweight, but all around. I mean, there was a point in time where you don't mention UFC or you don't mention MMA if you don't talk about Robbie Lawler. And then something happened. He's on a fight loss streak.
What? Really?
Yeah,
that many?
Oh yeah.
I know he's got Askren up in there.
Askren beat him. His last fight was Covington, got beaten, and then Dos Anjos beaten.
Oh, that's right. Dos Anjos beat the crap out of him. No, Dos Anjos had like this 15
destroyed him.
Yeah. Okay, I remember.
Askren gave him a really hard time, which I don't think he should have. So that was also sad to see. And then Covington is a tough fighter. Regardless of all his personal shit, he's a good fighter, good pressure fighter. And yeah, he gave him a hard time as well. So it's a really important fight for Lawler in terms of, number one, staying relevant, and two, potential future in the UFC. Dana White has a huge roster. He doesn't have to have these guys in rosters anymore if they're not performing. So there's that. And then in terms of Magny, it's going to be the fight that's going to push him up in the ranks. It's going to be, even though Lawler is not having the best resume right now, it's still a big name to have under your belt in terms of victory. So Magny's going to look out for that. So yeah, it's an important fight for both fighters, just in two different ways. So it'll be really interesting to see how they're going to come out and respond to that.
I got Lawler, man. I mean, I think the experience and the fact that Magny, I feel like it's going to be hard for Magny to win. I'd be surprised if Magny wins. I mean, Lawler's just, again, we could have a guy who comes out and he's not ready anymore. Maybe he's not there anymore. It could be just one of those where it's like, oh gosh, Lawler should hang the gloves, man. could be one of those things. You never know. But I got Lawler this fight for sure,
I,
for sure.
I
For
also
sure.
have Lawler, I'm only picking him because I'm hoping that after 3 losses, he has sat down with his team and he has somehow reinvented his fight camps. If for whatever reason he keeps doing the same thing, I feel like he's going to get the same outcome. I mean, when you're losing 3 fights in a row, coming from being one of the best in the division, you're obviously doing something wrong, and I hope you fix that. And I think he did. He is a professional. He's dealing with an amazing fight camp in top team. So because I assume and that he did go back to the drawing board and looked at his training and everything, yeah, I think he is the better fighter between him and Magny. So I don't see why he shouldn't take this fight.
It's a no-brainer. I'd really like to know the stats on who's favorited or not, but I can only imagine it's Robbie Lawler. Honestly,
Yeah, for some reason the UFC is not keeping up with their odds. I don't know if it's because the whole COVID thing. They're just focusing on other things right now, but it is put under each matchup, but they don't like post the odds.
Oh, man, they don't want us to gamble, man.
Look it up.
But yeah, so while you do that, I think very interesting topic is the main event, and you mentioned this to me right before we started recording here. The truth is that Magny and Lawler normally would be a main event. They normally would be one. So to me, you make a lot of sense. It's got to be the rankings. It's got to be the fact that this is a higher ranking fight, I would say. Between both fighters, they combine a higher ranking in their weight class. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mentioned this to you prior to starting recording. Yeah, I in terms of background story and like how meaningful this is to each fighter's career, it seems like Robbie Lawler and Neil Magny should have been the main event. They're also more recognizable names. But I can understand why they put Smith and Rakic first. It's just because in terms of how is this going to impact the division, they're the higher ranking fighters. And also we're talking about a light heavyweight division that now is no longer has a John Jones. So it's a division that has a really big spotlight on it now because who's going to be the next king of the throne in that division. So I think that's also why they probably put him in the main event. So division has been spoken about right now a lot.
I'm sorry, man. I don't think. I mean, Rakic, is that how you say it? Ratchet, whatever. I think Rakic, Ratchet. I think Rakic has, he's on a tear right now. I think he's the most vicious fighter. Like you said, super, super aggressive.
Yeah.
And I mean that head kick on Manua. Oh, that's some scary stuff. He set it up right. The way you teach it, textbook 1-2 head kick, leaves everybody like, oh crap, man, this guy's serious, real serious power. I wonder though if Anthony Smith can stay back and keep it technical, if maybe he can tire out, because we've seen that over and over again, right? That's like the typical thing to see: the guy who can hit really hard, the guy who's got a lot of power. But in MMA, where you can soften people's cardio throughout the fight, whether it's takedowns or keeping them in the clinch against the fence, things like that, I think that could go a long way for Anthony Smith if he can control that. We'll see. Yeah. He looks like he can get gassed though. Those type of guys always do.
Exactly.
So I'm thinking on this one, I'm gonna have to go Rakic just because we saw Anthony Smith kind of crumble to a Glover Teixeira. Hold on, shut up. Shut up. I think I've been talking way too much. I know it's your turn, but
no, you're good.
Rakic. I think Rakic is just here to catch Anthony Smith. I think he's been broken. It feels that way. And if you watch it, like I said, you watch the Glover Teixeira fight, man. I mean, even his corners were doing the wrong things. The commentators were like, geez, man, his corners are yelling out a different command every 2 seconds. They're not letting the fighter sink into his own thoughts. Maybe they adjust that this fight. I don't know if he fired. I mean, everybody was saying, should Anthony Smith's corner be fired? That was like everywhere the next day on social media, YouTube, you name it. That was the talk of the town. So let's see if he learned from that. And maybe he has the chance to win. I don't know who the favorite here, so I can't even say. I don't know.
Okay. Well, before we start, number one is really exciting because I totally disagree with you. So it's going to be great to have a nice back and forth here about that main event. In terms of the odds, so we have, according to CBS Sports, latest update is Rakic is the favorite at -20. I'm going to say Ratchet. I just think it's funny.
Just say Ratchet. Fuck it.
Yeah, he's Ratchet. So he's the favorite at -325. Smith is the underdog at 265.
Damn, a 260 underdog.
Yeah, that's huge. And then in terms of the co-main event, we got Magny as the favorite at 230, and Lawler's the underdog at 190.
Oh my God, yo! I was gonna YouTube thumbnail this. Pick 'em. Apparently, they're not pick 'ems.
Yo, all I know is I might drop money on this because I totally disagree with these odds.
I'm telling you, there's a reason UFC's not releasing them is because they're ridiculous. You know what I mean?
So
They're just ridiculous.
For you bettors out there, again, I don't, I'm sorry if you lose money on my predictions, but I'm about to drop some knowledge real quick.
Let's go. Let's hear
I think I got Smith winning this fight, and I'm going to tell you why. So Ratchet is not afraid to throw the hands. Ratchet's not afraid to throw hands, and that makes him very dangerous. Yes, he's a hard hitter. When he throws with everything he has. He reminds me of like that old school martial arts knowledge where it's like, you don't aim for your target, you aim behind your target. And that's where you're trying to punch. So you go through your target. That's how he punches. He punches to hit what's behind you. So he goes through you when he tries to hit you. Yeah.
Jesus.
But again, the con to that, energy. We see it. We saw it in a bunch of his past fights. I was looking over highlights. He starts really, really hard and heavy early on and is a completely different fighter by the end of the round in terms of pace. And that's actually why he loses to Ozdemir, because Ozdemir was able to have composure, take the hits early on, and then just tear them apart little by little with counter shots. The reason why I think Anthony Smith is going to win is because Anthony Smith not only has the better resume, he's actually beating really good guys in the division. The Sheriff fight, yeah, he lost that, and I can agree with him having issues with his camp, but those are things that you can resolve for the future fights. But he just got mounted. He made a stupid mistake, got caught in a mount, and got ground and pound by a really hard hitter. Okay, that could have happened to the best fighter in the world. I think there are things that could have easily been fixed after that fight that I'm pretty sure he did fix with his camp. So I think he's a big fighter. I think what's going to make him win this fight is that all he has to do is hold it, is step back, be ready to take the hard hits and survive them, and counter strike. Counter strike is the key to beating Ratchet, because he throws those heavy hits and he leaves himself exposed every time.
Oh, well, I mean, I can't disagree with your input there, but I do think once again that the factor of Anthony Smith's crumbling, who knows? People need all kinds of weird stuff to get going. Some people like me, I need to get my ass whooped. Like, that's just the reality of it. I need to get my ass whooped so that I come back like, all right, I passed this because I failed it 5 times. I can't get it right on the first try. That's just not me. There's no motivation if I haven't failed it. There's people that need to crumble. I think that maybe Anthony Smith can be that guy, but I don't know, man. I don't know. This main event, I'm so intrigued though. I'm really excited about these fights. You have no idea, dude. I really want to watch this main event.
Yeah, these fight nights have been sleeper cells. Like they come in and people are disregarding them because they're not big names or whatever, or they're not pay-per-views, and they're missing out on like mind-blowing cards of these beasts. Both females and males are just. They're showing some high level MMA that we're not even seeing from the big names. Yeah. If anything, the pay-per-views this year, yeah, they've been great ones, but a lot of the main events have been anticlimactic in a way, with these bigger name fighters that tend to protect more their reputation rather than go out there and just fight and give it their all.
You goddamn scientist. Anticlimactic. It's because of the climate, so it's anticlimactic.
Oh, my bad.
Fucking scientist. We bring a scientist on here and all they gotta do is talk science. Climatic because of the climate. Anyway,
and I know this factor isn't always a big factor, but fun fact, I mean, Ozdemir beat Ratchet, which is his only defeat in the UFC. but Anthony Smith beat Ozdemir.
No, and this is more. I'm gonna agree with you, but I'm not gonna agree with you, if that makes sense. I'm gonna agree with you. And Smith was on a tear, son. There was a reason why he got the shot with John Jones out of nowhere. And that wasn't out of nowhere. He got the shot like on a quick horizon. He just came out of nowhere. It's like, oh shit, here he is for a title shot. I'm with you on that. Like, and I think that the time that he fought Jones, there was like, who else? But I also felt like this when he fought Jones. It's because it's because the question is who else that he's fighting John Jones. So it's like I got like this double take on Anthony Smith. I think he's got a lot of good things going for him. I'm not a hater or anything. I'm just. Again, I've seen too much of Ratchet's. There you go. You got me saying it. I got too much of Ratchet's power in my mind. And I have too much of Smith's crumbling.
Yeah, no, and
it's just affecting the way I feel about this fight.
And I agree in the sense that if you were to tell me, yo, Ratchet knocked him out in the first round, I'd be like, yeah, no surprise. Totally okay with that. That's what I would expect, going off of his style of coming in heavy early. But you look at Smith's resume. And I mean, the fact that he's even, you look at his resume, he's dominated the division. The only people he couldn't stop was Jones. Okay,
Yeah, who
the
hasn't?
GOAT,
Who hasn't struggled,
the
right?
GOAT. And the Teixeira fight, yeah, it was a loss. He did get beaten, pretty clearly, but it was just a mistake that a fighter can make anytime. He got mounted because of a stupid transition and got ground and pounded by a big, strong dude. So aside, so ignoring that,
No, I'm not the disrespect. Stop. I think he got his ass beat before that. The end was just the icing on the cherry on the icing on the cupcake, whatever the
right?
phrase is. I'm good at phrases, by the way, but I think that that was just the ending. But I think if you watch that fight, he was getting pieced, and even before that ass whooping, the commentators were saying, "Yo, what's up with Anthony Smith? He's not all there." So I gotta say, you lose to Glover Teixeira, although he's not. Glover Teixeira is a dangerous fighter. I mean, he's got KO power. We get it, but he got pieced by him. It wasn't just like, oh, he caught him. No, he got pieced over the course of the rounds.
Yeah.
So I don't have faith in Smith.
Okay,
Although, yeah,
that's a fair point. Okay, but let's look at it from another angle. Okay, we're talking about MMA, mixed martial arts, a little bit
sure,
of everything.
yeah,
In the UFC, all Ratchet has are decisions and his KOs, which are well earned from his power. Fair enough. But in Anthony Smith, not only do you have two first round knockouts with two big names in Hua and Evans,
that's
okay,
true.
you can talk about the age, whatever. Still, Hua is still a beast and Evans is still a beast. But then you have two submissions against Ozdemir, who was a big player in the division, and another submission against Gustafsson. So now you have talking about Smith, who has shown time and time again against big name guys, wherever you throw me, I got an answer for you. While all Ratchet seems to have, as of now in the UFC, to display is, cool, I got these really heavy hands early on, and he's a main event card. He's a main event. He's 5 rounds.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Oh, actually, wasn't this the card that they're gonna do? No, isn't this the card where they're doing 3 rounds because it was last minute? Or was that the last
don't
one?
tell me that. Nah.
I heard it somewhere, but was it this card or the last fight night? There was
No,
one fight night that
no. Last fight night was definitely not 3. There was one fight night that it happened with where it was only 3 rounds, and it felt so crappy. I know what
did
you're
him.
talking about.
I heard it somewhere.
Dude,
Whatever.
don't tell me it's this one, bro. I will cry.
Whatever. Well, let's assume it is. It isn't. It's 5 rounds. Can Ratchet really keep that power with a guy, a technical guy, Anthony Smith? Again, no guy.
I'll give you that.
He's experienced. He's no joke. He's not gonna just let you do whatever you want in there. He has his game plan. He's been with the best in the division. Unless Ratchet can really expose him early, use that power to his advantage, which he should, which I wouldn't be surprised if he does it. Unless he can do that, I see Smith taking it, and I'm saying I might put money on this because it looks like the odds are in my favor for this. So it's just my opinion.
I know I'm with it. I'm with it in one regard, and I'll tell you this: if Anthony Smith can recollect himself, and like I said, if he can just find a way to reconnect with the successes, with the style that brought him success, and he can piece apart Ratchet, I really think, bro, I'm sorry, I'm gonna crack up at that every time. I really think he has a chance in that regard. But being that, well, I'm gonna beat a dead horse here. You already know what I feel about it. I'm just gonna say that I think that if Anthony Smith can do what you're saying, mixed martial arts, pick them apart, use different types of strikes, different types of looks, maybe switch his stance, right?
Take it to the ground.
Take it to the ground. Attempt some submissions that opens up the ground and pound. I think of course I'm gonna agree with you that Anthony Smith is good there. I just don't know how quickly he has the obligation to get there due to the fact that he can crumble easily because of the last couple of mishaps he's had in the octagon. And not mishaps. Fighting John Jones is not a mishap. That's just something you don't do. You don't fight John Jones.
I think the corner thing is very, very fixable. I think if it's something that they really noticed,
yeah,
I don't see why a professional athlete with a professional team doesn't sit down and say, okay, we got to fix this.
sure.
And that's probably something that definitely got fixed. Another con that you reminded me of Ratchet was when you have that early, heavy forward strategy, dude, you're exposing the double leg every time. And I mean, you can see in a lot of his fights where I don't know why more fighters didn't do it, but when you know he's throwing, when you see that reaction of, okay, he's doing something and you know it's going to come in heavy, I mean, how are you not shooting for the legs every time? Because it's so you really see it because again, when he goes to punch you, he's going 110%. He's planting his feet, his weight down, he's giving his a full force behind his punches, and he's fully exposed. I mean, I'm no wrestler, so I can't be, I won't pretend like I know what I'm talking about too much, but if you are an expert wrestler and you see that, I don't see how you don't take it and go for the double leg.
That's a very solid point.
At
Very
least for the
solid point.
points. At least for the points.
No, and look what happened. Not that it was very effective, but if you look at the Munoz main event, he had more power than Frankie, and it looked like he was going to catch him eventually. And what Frankie did to slow that down, when he was all right, I'm going to attempt a few takedowns. Yeah, Munoz got back to his feet, and he was very successful in avoiding the ground control from Frankie. But let me tell you something. That he wasn't confident coming forward anymore, and I think that if Anthony Smith can do enough level changes and gain Ratchet's respect, we might see a whole different fight. However, let's see if that gets there. I don't know, man. I feel like we should have some accountability here. We're going to figure something out for the next podcast. And you guys leave a link below. What should Raul and I do? Because betting on money is kind of like, it's so the same shit. You know, like we should gamble on more stuff. Like you guys pick something we have to wear. As long as we're not naked, that's perfectly fine. Something that you have to wear if you get it wrong, or maybe we can start counting like our picks. And whenever we disagree on a fight, we make it a count. We can call it like the disagreements gambit or something. I don't know. And at the end of each year, or each month we collect the tally, and I don't know, go fuck ourselves. I don't know, but we got to think of something. We got to think of something to make it.
Once we get past this whole COVID thing and we can all go outside again and interact, maybe we'll do some social experiments as a form of punishment.
Yeah, like public humiliation, and you have to film it, and it can't be staged. If I find out it's staged,
we'll dress up as ringos and have to walk around the mall with the round sign on top of it.
Round one.
It's a great way to promote the YouTube channel. Just put like a sign with a YouTube channel. Subscribe, but you gotta be dressed as a ringer.
Bro, if that gets more subscribers,
then it totally will. It totally would.
Ah, God. Totally how upset would I be? How upset would I be if after all this, we're closing the show, by the way, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button at the bottom. This is as real as it gets. I am Danny Miami, and we'll close off with this topic. I will be super pissed if after all these marketing ideas that you and I sit down for, like, hey, maybe we should promote like this, maybe we should get apparel like that. If what all that it takes is for us to hoe out at a mall with a,
it's like come show us that you subscribe, get a kiss on the cheek for every subscription.
Damn, bro, that's gonna remove subscriptions if it's me. Gotta be someone else up there, but. Yeah, guys, you've been phenomenal. Check out the fight. What is it, August 29th? I don't even know my dates, 30th, 31st.
Yeah, August 29th. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. That is MMADE, made number 4 fighting. Especially on Twitter during fight night, because we will do live commentating on what's going on live during the fight, both in the Twitterverse, in the actual event. And we're going to just be talking mad shit about what's happening, and hopefully we can have some fun there. So make sure you guys follow.
And if you guys watch our stories, I like to post from my TV. So I record the phone from the TV, and you get my commentary. Plus, you get to hear what my house sounds like. It's a lot of people talking smack, barking dogs. We'll see you there Saturday night. Thanks for joining us, Raul. Go have yourself a good day. And I hope you're on full screen, but you can take us out now with the 1-2 again.
Here we go.